aside from owning your own business, the renewals. So as far as the renewals, you're vested from day one. Okay. Invested from day one, which means if you start this business, you decide this is not for you, you got to take a break. If you were to leave, everything you built up in your renewals, it goes with you. Okay. Some other IMOs, and you have to be a certain number of years for you to get vested before you start receiving those renewals. Sometimes you never get them. So with your renewals, this is your book of business. You completely own it, and that'll be important for something I'm going to go into later on. But as far as no contracts, this allows you to be in total control of your business, and you don't have to. This is where you truly own your book. The fourth thing is, and this is probably the most important thing, and that's leads. Okay, well, so we've been talking about this a lot lately, and we're talking to Linda earlier. She's great with warm market. There's plenty of other places where you can sell your friends, your family. You can go stop people at the grocery store and you try to sell them insurance. You can prospect. You can generate your own leads. You can do a bunch of different things. But having a lead system already built in, and we have tons of different options, so you're not restricted to buying only strictly our leads. You can look out and get your own. However, with a built-in proven lead system, it takes a lot of the work out of your business in terms of prospecting. So if you just invest into yourself, you buy some leads, you set the appointments, you sit down with them either virtually, in person, or telesale, and then you just present to them and then present the options, and there you go. Leads are they come from qualified sources, which means someone actually went in and physically filled it out. They typed it in through the internet, or they filled out a card and they mailed it back. And so the thing is, these are people that have expressed some form of interest, and our job is to go out there and fulfill that order. Okay. Number five, this is a very important part also. Training. Okay. So training, all the training here is free. Okay. That's it may not seem like such a big deal because sometimes you think, I don't want to sit through all these trainings. I'm just ready to go out there and work. However, you ladies are new. Okay. What have we just told you? Hey, you're going to come on board, and then here's where you can buy some leads, and you can just figure it out. Would it seem like a very smart system? You want some training, right? So here's the thing about the training. You own your own business here. So the thing is, nothing's mandatory. You don't have to come and sit through a bunch of trainings in order for you to get started. However, the thing is, there's different teams, and some of them create their own culture. Some of them have these trainings. And look, if you want to be included and you want to be part of what they're doing, I mean, like this is it's a two-way street. Okay, but as far as the training, all of the training is free. So we have different trainings on different online platforms. We have a boot camp that we set you up when you're brand new. We have tons of training all over available on YouTube, on the internet, Facebook. I mean, you can't go on Facebook without tripping over some FFL training. So it's all over the place. So you'll have no shortage of access to training, and obviously, you can always reach out to your upline if you have specific things. Training is actually one of the things we're going to be getting into after this. We're going to train on annuities, so teach a little bit about that. And number 6. All right, that's building a business. Okay. So obviously, the first and foremost, you got to make sure you make your money first. So personal production is definitely the way that we would recommend. So you can kind of get a feel for the business, and you have the biggest override over yourself. Yes. Okay. So you're always in control of your own activity. You can always control how hard you want to work, how much you want to invest into your leads. So you can always control income if that's the priority for yourself. Okay. But if you get to a certain point and you see this is a great opportunity, you want to share this with other people. Let me backtrack a little bit. How many guys want to be selling insurance in the field for the rest of your life? Okay. All right. No one. Okay. So this gives you an opportunity to be able to build a business, which means it doesn't mean you don't have to work anymore. It just means that your role kind of shifts and your role kind of changes, and you kind of diversify your sources of income. So by building a business, that means you recruit, you bring in people, you share the opportunity with others. And keep it real simple. I mean, if you don't know what you're doing, you're brand new, doesn't mean you can't start recruiting and start bringing in people. You just have to kind of just understand generally how the system works, and then just share the website with them. Just go and joinelite.info. Just share that video. Have them watch. It's a 13-minute video narrated by Stephen Yee. It's good. It's not me. It's narrated by Stephen Yee. It's a really informative type of video that's going to explain how FFL works, breaks everything down, and then this way, you can just focus on what their questions are and just address that directly. So instead of you spending 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, an hour explaining how FFL works, just build that into your recruiting process. Just send that out, and then if you are newer and you don't really know how to do it, just ask one of your uplines. We'll gladly set up some time, meet with them. We'll obviously have you on the call with us or in person with us so we can kind of get you familiar with the process. But, if you have all these different things to offer, you share the opportunity a little bit with them and then, just continue to put in your work and you can have those additional streams of income. Okay. And then the seventh and final thing, the integrity deal. All right. So if you are serious about building a business, it's not just casually building when you feel like it. It's building a deal and actively managing and growing it and maintaining it, right? So it's going to take a lot of work. It's not going to be easy. So let's not mistake that for being an automatic thing that's going to be happening. If you start building a business, you start building something, to a reasonable level, which is about $1 million a month. Okay, so that's the basic starting point, to start getting into that ballpark of when they started considering your agency. So with the integrity deal, it's a private equity firm. Okay, so their job is their whole mission is to buy out insurance companies and buy out profitable deals. There's a lot of Medicare companies. They really got heavy into the final expense space and the mortgage protection space with Family First Life when Sean got his deal. I believe it was 3 years ago now. Okay, so. What the integrity deal does is if you're a profitable business, they look at your EBITDA, which is your net income for the year, and then if everything makes sense, if your company is trending in the right direction, it's something that's going to be sustainable. It's going to they see the projection of it continuing to grow. Then at that point they can make you an offer, and they pay you a multiple of 7, right? So. Most of the mergers and acquisitions, when it comes to that, they give you a multiple of 2 or 3. Okay, so this makes it pretty unique. So whatever your net income is for that year, then they give you a multiple of 7. On top of that, you get stock in the company, which is awesome because that's one of the fastest growing companies out there. Integrity is it's bigger than every NFL franchise, bigger than every NBA franchise. It's just huge. And the thing is, if you have stock, the earlier you get the deal, then the lower the stock price is when you get in. So when that IPO, when it goes public, you get a chance to participate and watch your money grow. They also, obviously you become an employee with the company, so you're a partner there. So you get a salary. I believe it's about $200,000 a year, and whatever bonuses, and they cover your operational costs, for your business. So that's something that it allows you to have an opportunity to build a business, and you eventually have a true walkaway plan. Most of the every other opportunity that I've looked into and I've been associated with, the thing is you look about building a business, and the things you start trying to pull away a little bit, even the days or the weeks that you got to take some time off, or you decide to get out of the business a little bit. The thing is, there's attrition. If you're not there to constantly drive and continue to focus on growing the deal, it's going to dwindle away. Not overnight. Depends on how you structure it. But the thing is, you got to continuously be there and continue to work. With the integrity deal, it gives you the option. Obviously, you want to stay on. You want to be able to maintain and grow it for them. And you can stay on as long as you like. 3 years minimum, I believe, is what they require of you. But if you want to stay on longer, the thing is, they tell you up front, like, we like your business model. It makes sense. It's profitable. But the thing is, we don't want to run your business. We want you to continue to do whatever you're doing and continue to grow it. So if you look at all these things together, whichever path you decide to go, if you're focusing on personal production, the comp is there. The leads are there. The training's there. You have the renewals. If you're looking to build a business and you're seriously if you're looking to build a business and make a little bit of override, and that's not making money off of people. That should never be the goal. It should be to make money together. And this is the opportunity you see that it's great for you, or you could see it could be great for somebody else, and then someone that you would see yourself, enjoy working with, and you want to give them that opportunity. Just go and share the opportunity with them, build the business, and if you're taking it to that level, I know some of you guys are, build it, and get the integrity deal. Okay, so pretty simple and straightforward. These are the main reasons why. So I'll open this time up now to Q&A. Does anyone have any particular questions related to this or anything in general? Linda?
I was going to ask you about integrity.
Yep.
How many, number one, are you an integrity person? Have you made it there yet?
I'm working on it. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
And was this something that the company just got introduced to recently? Or?
I think it's been about 3 years now. So Sean obviously got his deal first, and it's I guess it's a relatively new thing,
Yeah.
but the way, I mean, if you guys want to look up Integrity Marketing Group and do some research, I mean, it's a huge company, and we have over 20 partners from FFL already, and they're not looking to stop anytime soon because it's a very profitable model. It's a very predictable business when it comes to insurance.
Yeah.
So they know what they're going to get on the back end. They know this is something that they can continue to build with, and the thing is they want to infuse your business with with the resources that you wouldn't have otherwise building it by yourself. So now you're a partner, and then you have access to all these other great minds, great tech, great resources. So
Awesome.
yeah, it only allows you to take your business to another level, and most importantly, and I think this is the part that's most exciting for me. It's just that I recognize there's other people here that want to get their deals, and after I get my deal, that's going to be my main focus, is to continue to build and lift up and pull up the other people behind me.
So you're saying
Yep.
that they pay up to multiple 7 of your yearly gross in your agency?
Your net
To
income.
buy out your net.
Net income.
So they literally write a check for that, and then you become an employee of them, and you get the salary. Is that
Yeah.
how- is that-
Yeah, I mean, as far as how you want to get paid, I mean, that's part of everyone's individual deal, and you can kind of negotiate on that. But it's either you can take a portion in cash, you can take it some in stock. I mean, you want to get it all in like sack of pennies.
But you're an employee of them, so you still have to carry on with all your
Correct.
activities that
Yeah.
you were doing before.
Yes.
It's like having a guarantee for your business, where you see yourself retiring at a
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that means like Nina here, and they just partner with Integrity, right? They still have the agency and they are still working?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once, I mean, I talked to some of the integrity partners, and I asked them, like, after you got your deal, like, what's changed for you? And they said nothing. I still run everything the same way. The only thing is now I have a lot more help. Now I have a lot of access to a lot of different resources, and you also, like, I don't know, maybe in some ways you have a little bit of weight lifted off your shoulders, because right now I'm running everything.
Right.
My deal. I'm responsible for everything that doesn't happen. As far as making sure payroll is taken care of, making sure that the expenses are paid for. I mean, everything right now is on me. But when I get a chance to partner with Integrity, God willing, that's resources that I'll have help with. Oh, also they also provide health insurance, which I hear is top notch. From all the people that have it, their families have insurance. I mean, their staff gets insurance. There's just there's different benefits too. I mean, just the expenses as far as going on traveling and doing all the other stuff, and just stuff for your business. It's now you have Integrity behind you. Okay. All right. Other questions?
And that's a consistent $1 million a month for your team, right? Like, how long do they have to see that trend before they say, okay?
Yeah, I think it's got to be, or at least it's got to be trending that direction. So the thing is, it can't be like a flash in the pan, like you just had a bunch of annuities
Killing
or
month
something.
for a
Yeah.
month, and you're like, yo, where's my integrity deal?
Yeah.
You have to see that consistency.
Yeah, consistency, and they got to make sure your business model is solid. So the way it's properly structured, and that's something that obviously we're gonna be going over with you as you continue to build. So we gotta make sure it's structured properly. So it's not just one leg. It's not not too lopsided in terms of how you have it structured. Yeah. Yes.
Is there Spanish training?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, we have different platforms out there, so I mean, we'll You just get in touch with your upline. We'll get everything set up. Yep. There's Spanish leads available.
There's a Spanish
Yeah.
overview.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Spanish overview for Spanish speakers. You can just send that link out to them. They can catch it on YouTube. Yeah.
Well, that's good. That opens up doors.
It does. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they just expanded out to Puerto Rico. The FFL has, so we're in all 50 states and Puerto Rico now.
Oh, so there's offices in Puerto Rico?
Yep. Well, I mean, I don't know if there's a physical office yet, but they've expanded operations out there. Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
Very good.
Yep. Cool.
Under the comps?
Yep.
How long do you have to work for FFL before you reach the next level? Or is there a dollar amount you get to
Yes.
go to?
Yeah. So that's a really good question. When it comes to the comp, I mean, the starting levels, I believe 80%, right? So that you can move up, and it's a systematic way. So there's clear guidelines in terms of how you can move up. So you hit that level 2 months consecutively, and you move up to the next level, and so forth. But I mean, obviously, there's different deals out there, so you can talk to your upline directly if there's something specific. If you're looking to build a team, if you have experience, if you show proof of production, you can get a higher comp available to you. So I mean, every team's a little bit different. But I mean, the thing is, you just want to work with them and get something that's going to be fair for everyone for the long term. And that's the thing. We're going to try to make sure that there's something that's sustainable, something that makes sense to you guys, and if we can provide help in certain ways, and whether it comes with helping with leads or whatever the case is, if you're looking to build a business, I mean, that's something that you're going to work with your respective upline to go over. But as far as reaching the highest level, that's 145. I mean, at that point, that provides you with the space to be able to build your agency, to build it for depth and for width. Okay. Yep. All right. Any other questions? No? Good. Short and simple. All right. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go into the annuity training. Okay. So as far as the annuity training, how many of you guys here have written an annuity?
I haven't. I'm about to write one on myself.
You're about to? Okay, cool. All right. Be gentle on yourself. All right, so for the annuity trading, I mean, how many of you guys think it's complicated? Or how many of you guys think it's a difficult thing, right? So the thing is, on the face of it, it might appear to be that way. When it comes to an annuity, there's a lot of jargon and there's a lot of like technical things, and people tend to focus on this. Rather, we want to try to simplify this as much as possible for you tonight. You're not going to learn every single thing, but we're going to walk you through the basic steps. If you have no experience with working with annuities, you don't know what an annuity is, or you don't know how it really works. So we're going to try to break that down for you guys as much as possible. So as far as getting started, all right. First thing is you got to get contracted with Athene. So there's other annuity providers that we do work with. F&G has some good ones, and NLG has annuities. But Athene is our platinum carrier when it comes to annuities. It's the largest annuity provider in the country. It has over $300 billion worth of assets. So it's an A+ rated carrier. So when it comes to Athene, that's the first carrier that you should look to get contracted with. Now, it's not going to be available immediately on HCMS, so you got to reach out to your respective contracting person. We're blessed to have Joanne, who you can reach out to and just let her know. Can you send out Athene for the contracting, and then that'll show up, and she'll go and request that for you. Okay. Now, keep in mind, if you guys have no interest, or you guys have no immediate plans on doing anything with annuities, wait and hold off on that, because they do terminate based off of lack of activity. So if there's no production being submitted, they will terminate your contract after a period of time. Typically, it's about a year. Okay. Now, the next step is there's the state annuity training. So you got to look up your respective state, and we have a platform in which it provides access to all these different state trainings, and that's called Reg Ed. I'm sure there's other accredited platforms in which training platforms which you can go on and take that, but this is the one that I've been sending out just because it does have the products training, which we're gonna go over in a bit. But for your respective state, they might have different hour requirements, like 4 hours or 8 hours or whatever it may be. So just check on that. If you don't know, reach out. We'll figure out which state you're in, and then we'll go from there. And then you have, once you're contracted with Athene, bless you, then we have the products trainings. Okay. So you can go over the products trainings for Athene. So this is after you get contracted. So you can't actually start it until you're actually contracted. So if you're trying to get on the products trainings, they won't allow you to. Okay. You'll have to enter your information. And as far as the products trainings, there's a lot of different ones out there. So we're not gonna need all of the products most likely, unless you're an annuity expert and that's all you ever do. But majority of the time, you're going to focus on 3 products, in which we're actually going to go over in a little bit. But it's going to be the Performance Elite, the Agility, and the Ascent products. Okay, so if you just have those 3 to start off with, then the thing is you have pretty much everything covered as far as potential annuities. If there's additional products that come up, later on, like you need a fixed annuity, you need a MIGA or whatever it may be, you can always go back and do it later. But I recommend just starting with these 3. And I also don't recommend just doing the single one that you think you're going to need, because in case you need to pivot to another product and you don't have the training, you got to get back on, you got to do it. So I say just sit there and knock them all out, knock out the 3, and then just get that out the way. Okay. It is Performance Elite, Agility, and the Ascent.
How do you spell the Ascent?
ASCENT.
The Ascent. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then what I also recommend is going on to fflams.com. So that's FFL, the Advanced Market Sales Team.com. So fflams.com. So go on there and first of all register. This is after you get contracted with Athene. You would enter your Athene number, and that's typically your for you to register. If you are unable to get on, then you can always email Lauren at fflams.com. So Lauren and the entire FFL team, their AMS team, they're awesome. They provide a lot of help. Also, I would recommend every Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. They have, if you go on Facebook, they have the live trainings on the AMS Training Weekly. So they cover different topics. They cover the annuities, obviously. They cover IULs. They cover just all the advanced market products and trainings, and you'll get a lot of useful information on there. You can also go on fflams.com. Once you've registered, you can go on. They have an entire library of different products that they train on different concepts and different things. So,
But we have to be contracted before we can
yes.
access that.
Yeah. Right. And then also on fflams.com, you can also access all the different comp grids, so you know exactly how much you're supposed to be getting paid for each product, for every advanced market product. So it's a wealth of resources. So make sure that you guys get that once you guys get these basic steps done. Okay. All right. So once you get the contracting and the training out the way, okay, we registered for FFL AMS. The next step is to getting ready to get going. Okay. So first of all, you're going to focus on fixed index annuities. All right. So with fixed index annuities, there's a fixed annuity, which is a fixed rate, so it's guaranteed safe. It's going to be, you know exactly what it is. If it's 1%, 2%, 3%, it's going to be steady. Nothing's going to change. Okay, it's going to be a fixed rate. With a fixed indexed annuity, so this is tracking along with the index that we choose for that specific annuity illustration that we run. All right. Now, for the different indices, I believe it's the plural version, but there's the S&P 500, there's a NASDAQ, there's the BNP, there's the IBM Watson Bank of America one.
Swiss, I just heard about that one.
That was on for the theme.
UISS, Swiss.
Oh.
Oh, that was only maybe an LG.
Yeah, there's different carriers that they use. They use their own crediting strategies, or they use their own index for the crediting strategy. So that's the first thing. So we're gonna go over the differences between a fixed index annuity versus a variable product. Okay. So a variable product is something that's invested directly into the market, whether it's a securities product, whether it's a 401k, IRA, a mutual fund, a stock, a bond, anything that where there's volatility. Okay, so our job is we don't need a securities license in order for you to sell a fixed index annuity. You just need your life license and you're good to go. So once you get the training out the way, once you get contracted with the theme, then you're ready to rock. Okay, so the first thing is when you want to go out and present. Okay. And you're presenting based off of the leads that we talked about. You're purchasing leads on a regular basis, you're investing into yourself, you're going to have activity. And when you go out there and you start presenting to people for their final expense, mortgage protection, whatever type of lead that it is, along the way you're going to ask the golden question. So what is the golden question? So the golden question, sorry, do you know it? Oh, come on, you gotta go now. Get it, Roberto.
They ask them if they got something like, they ask like an insurance or like retirement, that's when you ask, right?
Right.
After you roll the application.
Yes. You ask it during the process. So you're just going through the presentation, and thank you for participating. It's okay. No, so you're going to go through your normal presentation. As you're going to go through, now when you guys are new, I mean, we're going to keep it very simple for you guys. There's a inventory sheet, a final expense inventory sheet, or a mortgage protection inventory sheet. And as you're doing your presentation, you call the lead, you buy your leads, you call your leads, you sit down with them and do a presentation. As you go through, there's a sheet, and then you just go through and ask these questions. You ask if they currently have insurance, you ask them their health questions, and then one of the questions there is, do you have life insurance? If they do, ask them how much they have, who's it with, and gather all that information so we know what to properly show them. We want to find that need and be able to provide that solution for them. But you're also going to ask the golden question, which is, as Roberto started to state, it's do you have anything that works like life insurance that's transferable to your estate upon your death? Okay. So it's, do you have anything that works like life insurance that is transferable to your estate upon your death? And then sometimes people may not understand what you mean directly by that. So you start jogging the memory, be like a 401k, IRA, investments, anything from your retirement portfolio, So get them talking about that, okay? Because it's all going to be part of the process for, presenting anyway, because it gets them to start thinking about the future. Okay. So when you ask them, do you have anything like that, and if they say yes, say, okay, well, what is that? And then just take a little note in that little box up there on your sheet. You're gonna fill that out, and then you're gonna, and if they say yes to it, you're gonna come back to it later. You're gonna circle back around to it later. So don't get tempted, and don't try to present the annuity right then and there. Don't try to like introduce the idea, because the thing is, you start overwhelming the client, and the thing is, it could get them excited about it. It could turn them off about it. But the thing is, if you start getting into something else, then no longer are they really focused on what you're there for in the first place, which is to take care of their final expense or their mortgage protection. Okay, so just take a little note, and then come back to it, circle back around at the end. And once you go through your entire presentation, whether you sold it or whether you didn't, once you go through the entire presentation, at that point, at the very end, when you're about to leave, you can go back and circle back around to that question. Just be like, now earlier you mentioned you had a 401k. Or you mentioned you have an IRA. You mentioned you have this in your retirement portfolio. How's that been doing for you? Okay. Ask them, have you lost money on it? And we've had a lot of volatility in the market, so there's a good chance that they have. and then you ask them, do you pay fees on it? And then some of them may know, and then they'll say yes, which if it's a variable product, they are, because someone's actively managing it for them. Okay, so they're taking fees typically like a 1% to 4% fee on a variable product. And then, I always joke with John, like we like to ham it up a little bit. So you ask, have you lost money on it? They say yes, and I'm like, oh, I hate losing money. And they say, do you pay fees on it? And they say yes, or they don't know, and then you say, yeah, I hate paying fees. So you can kind of just start to like put that in their head a little bit, and then at the end you're gonna just let them know. And this is for all of you guys that are not very familiar with annuities yet, and you don't know the process. This actually is it's what they call a BAM-FAM, right? It's book a meeting from a meeting. Okay, so the thing is, you don't want to, even if you sell and even if they're interested, you don't want to sit there and start presenting an annuity on top of that. It's called tidal wave selling, right? And it becomes overwhelming to the client. They have too much, and then I don't know, the retention of both of those sales will probably get lower. So you're going to just ask those general questions. Have you lost money on it? Do you pay fees? How's that been doing for you? And they say, well, I can't do it right now. I do have other members that I got to go out to meet with. But if I can show you a product that will guarantee that you're never going to lose any money, that's going to help you eliminate fees, and it can provide you with a lifetime income, is that something that might fit your situation or help you? And then those are all positive things. So why wouldn't they say yes? Right. So you'll ask them those questions and say, I can't do it right now. So if you can, I can if you got a copy of your statement, go ahead and grab that, and I'll bring it back to my Safe Money Retirement Department, and I'll have them put together an illustration for you. I'll come back next week. How's next week at this time work, or in 3 days from now? Assuming you have all your training and everything done, okay? And then you can just book another appointment and just say, I'll come back, and once we get those illustrations, we'll come back, we'll get a chance to sit down with you, explain to you how that's gonna work versus what you currently have, and if it makes sense to you, we'll see if we can help you out with that, okay? So this way you don't have to put the pressure on yourself to sit there and figure out how to present this annuity, what you're going to show. You definitely don't want to overwhelm them anyway. So this gives you an opportunity, it gives you a reason for you to get the information and then come back. Okay, yes.
So with the fixed annuity products and the variable product, if they tell you that they're in a variable product, that means a securities licensed person put them there?
Correct.
And if they're paying fees and they want to get out of something like that, we're actually qualified to get them into something with a theme?
Yeah, well, we're gonna if the situation fits, we're gonna do an annuity rollover. So we're rolling over what they currently have and put it into a fixed index annuity. Yep.
Got it. Because technically under our license, we can't do the variable.
Correct.
Got it.
Yep. All right. Any questions so far? Aside from Linda's?
And the main difference between a variable and a fixed annuity is you can lose money in a variable?
Yes. Yep. Yep. All right. Yeah, and also once you get to that point where they say, okay, I'll grab a copy of the statement. That sounds interesting. I'll take a look at it. I mean, you've already established, you built some rapport with the client. You've already established a relationship with them during the process. So there's a couple follow-up questions that we'll need you guys to ask so we can figure out what product to go with. Now, the thing is, if you just get the information, you get the statement. I mean, there's different annuity products, and it's not all one size fits all. Okay, so a couple of the questions you want to ask is, what are their retirement goals? Get them to open up a little bit, get them to understand. You want to try to get a feel for where they're trying to go for this, if they're being realistic about their expectations. So just kind of leave it open-ended, say, what are your retirement goals? Some people might not have very much of an idea. Some of them say they want to retire and move to a different country and live on a yacht, or well, who knows, right? But just get them talking about that. Ask them when they plan on taking their distributions. Okay, because generally you want to have a pretty good idea. If they're saying, I need to pull it out yesterday, it's not really going to be a good fit, because there's no point in getting an annuity if they need to start taking out that money right away, immediately. I mean, there's a lifetime income product, which, I mean, we'll get into that, but that's to set up a lifetime income in it to supplement what they currently have. But if they have something in an account and they say they just need to liquidate it, probably not going to be a right fit. Okay, so ask them when they plan on taking their distributions. Ask if they have other income or assets to live off of. Okay. So ask them if they have other income or assets to live off of in the meantime. Yes.
What's the minimum contribution for an fixed annuity?
The minimum to start an annuity. The minimum balance to start a brand new annuity is $10,000. Okay. So sometimes like my mom had this old 401k and there was like $7,000 in it, so we couldn't do anything with it. Right. So, but it's $10,000 minimum.
Could you add to that? Like if she said, I have this, but I want to add 3,000 to make that?
Okay, so there's a couple different rules. So there's qualified versus non-qualified funds. Okay, so qualified funds mean it has not been taxed on before. So those are still tax deferred, right? If you have something that's already been post-tax, such as you have money in your savings account, or you received a settlement or whatever it is, then that's post-tax. So that's considered non-qualified funds. So you can add multiple products into it. So they have a couple different IRAs or 401k. You can combine all those together, provided they all have the same tax position, right? So it's either a qualified fund. So you can't mix qualified and non-qualified funds. Okay, so that's the only distinction. And then the final question you want to ask if you can let it sit and accumulate for 5 to 10 years. Okay. So you're gonna ask them if they're able to just let it sit for 5, 10 years. Obviously, this is going to be a little bit age dependent. If they're closer towards their retirement. I mean, if they're younger, then they can afford to do that and have more time to accumulate. And this is kind of like the whole concept of compounding interest. The sooner you start, the younger you start, you have the more time on your side, then it allows more time to actually accumulate and grow. So those are the main things that you want to ask. So if you can gather this information, you can bring it back, and you can go and enter your entire scenario under the FFL AMS site. There's a section that's called Ask a Specialist. So you can go on there, you can input all the information and data there, and then they will come back with a suggestion, and they'll come back with an illustration. Or, I mean, for all of you guys that are here on our team, just ask me directly. So you can just send that over to me. If you guys haven't asked these questions, I'll be like, hey, I need you to go back to the client, ask these questions so we can kind of ascertain what's the best product for them, and we'll put together an illustration, and we'll go from there. All right, so once we have the illustrations, once we have this information to put together an illustration, there's a couple different, there's three main products that we're going to use, okay? First of all, there's the Performance Elite. This is primarily for accumulation. Right. So the Performance Elite, this is built for accumulation. So if a client has a sum of money, that's if they have something in their retirement, or even if they had cash laying around and it's over $10,000, which we run to clients, from time to time, you're going to have this product. We're going to put together an illustration for this product. Now it comes in 7 years, 10 years. Certain states it has a 15-year plan. All right, so that means for the full term, for the 7, 10, or 15 years, they can't turn on the lifetime income stream, or it can't cash out the entire full amount until after that term is up. Okay. Now there's a 7, 10, and 15-year. In some states, this 15 years not available in every state. It's not available in California. But a lot of times the thing is, after that term is up, you can just let it continue to sit there and accumulate. It doesn't mean they need to turn on the lifetime income stream after it's up. They don't need to cash it out after it's up. They can let it, if they don't have any plans and they're comfortable with letting it continue to sit there and accumulate, they can do that. Now, what's the difference between 7, 10, and 15? And you may ask, why wouldn't everyone just choose a shorter period of time so this way they have more access to their money sooner? The thing is, there's higher participation and cap rates for the longer period of time. Okay, so the 10 and 15 will have higher participation rates than the 7, and then vice versa. And then with 15 will have higher cap and participation rates than the 10 will. Yes.
The question: what happens if the person passes away before? Let's say they chose the 15,
Mm-hmm.
and they passed away like 7
Yeah, so there's a death benefit with it. So the money doesn't just it's not like finders keeper with the carrier. They'll actually pay. You'll actually name a beneficiary, and it'll pay out to the beneficiary. Yes.
Can they change the amount of years that they initially chose?
No. So whatever you set it out initially, that's how long. So it also doesn't mean that you cannot access your money earlier than the term is up. Because the only thing there's withdrawal fees for anything above a certain percentage based on that specific product. So, with Performance Elite, it's five. You can take it up to 5% per year aggregate. So if you didn't take out any money for 5 years, after 5 years, you can take it up to 25% without any withdrawal fees.
Oh, I see.
Okay. So,
Oh,
go ahead, please.
so, if they choose, like, for example, 7, and when that ends,
Mhm.
then they go ahead and do it again for another 5 years, 10?
I mean, you wouldn't have to roll it again because the thing is, you can just let it sit there for as long as you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could, and you'll also get paid on it again.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, if that's more of a thing for the agent, though. It's not really.
I'll be like, sure you don't want 7?
So that means I can show
What-
7 and pay myself again in 7 years?
But see, that's also the thing. As I mentioned earlier, the 10 and 15 have higher participation and cap rate, so you're kind of shortchanging yourself. Yeah, and obviously we should be looking out for our clients, so we should try to do our best. And life's unpredictable. Not everyone knows exactly when they're going to retire. They don't know how everything's going to play out. But the thing is, try to do your best to try to ascertain this information. So a lot of people they're tracking a certain way, and the thing is, if they have no plans, then you really need to try to dig in and see what you can do to help steer them in the right direction for them.
And when you say cap rates, you mean a percentage that is going to go into the S&P 500, or what do you mean by cap rate?
Percentage that's going to be credited to you. Okay, so we'll go into that when we show the illustrations. But yeah, the cap rate's how much. So the company's going to make money when it comes to Athene. So the thing is, if it protects against 3 major things. So the annuity provides 3 main functions. Okay, the first thing is you can participate in market upside. And so that's whatever index that they choose for your crediting strategy, whether it's the S&P 500, the B&P. I personally like the NASDAQ. I mean, that's what Sean Ruggiero says he uses for all of his clients. There's the IBM powered by Watson one. That's another newer one. But you participate in the upside. So whichever crediting strategy you choose, whichever index you choose, like in my case, if I'm going to use the NASDAQ, they'll track with the NASDAQ, and there's a 1 year or 2 year point-to-point crediting strategy. Okay, which means for the 1 year crediting strategy, point-to-point, that means after 1 year is up, they'll track to see where the index is and whether it grew or not. And if it did, they'll credit you a percentage. Now, they're not going to credit you the full amount. They're going to credit you a percentage, and that's where the cap rate comes into play. Okay. Second thing is guaranteed. There's no losses, so it eliminates downside risk. So if you kept it in a variable product, so if someone has an existing 401k or they have an IRA, it's based in the market, so it's directly invested into the market. So if the market goes up, they can gain in unrealized gains. So it's not actually real until they actually cash it out. If the market goes down, then you can actually participate in the losses. So if you look at the stock market, it's always like that, right? Right. So the thing is when it comes to a fixed index annuity, the thing is once you have interest credited to your account, it locks it in, and you can't fall below that number. So if a product is like this, if you have a fixed index annuity, and then the market goes down, you actually just stay level. You don't actually go down like here. And then when the market goes back up, you participate, and then if the market goes down, you stay level, and then it will continue to go that way, right?
And when it goes up, it has a cap, right? It caps
Goes
off
up, you have a
like
cap and a
right now.
participation rate.
Right.
Okay, now, the reason for that is, the best way is, the analogy that they always use is you're playing with house money. It's like
Right.
if you're gambling, the thing is, your money, when you roll it into an annuity, it actually goes into a general account with the annuity carrier. It never actually touches the market directly. So it's not directly invested into the market like a variable product would be. Okay? So Athene, they got tons of money, right? They got $300 billion plus worth of assets. So what they do is they take the money that you roll over, they give you a proportionate amount, and that's what they set your cap rate and your participation rate based off of the number of years that you set it up as, and which product you go with, and which index that you choose. So all of that all that put together, the reason why they're able to eat the costs, eat all the losses themselves is because they're an insurance company. They have all these other policyholders and they have all these different products that make them money. So the thing is, they're able to balance everything out. So there's the law of large numbers, and they're able to kind of diversify their portfolio that way. So when the market gains, they'll keep a portion of it, and they'll give you a portion of it. Okay, so that's how the participation rate works, and that's how the cap rate is set. Yes.
That's every year, right? Or is it, it's every year?
It's a one. There's two ways of doing it. There's a 1 year point to point and a 2 year point to point. Now, I'm gonna show you the illustration later. I like to do a 50-50 blend, and do half of it, with a 1 year point to point, and the other half with a 2 year point to point. So it's kind of like laddering and kind of offsetting things, in case there's an unexpected thing that comes up in a year. Like you could have an up year, and then the second year, if you did all of it in 2 year point to point, the second year it drops, and then you actually receive less. So this way, it kind of gives you the ability to be able to capture some upside from either way. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
In the risk factor, say you deposit your 10,000 and it's locked into a 10-year window.
Yep.
In that time, you can overfund it, right?
You can't. It's a single premium policy, which means that you do the initial rollover,
Yeah.
and then that's it. You can't add any more. That situation does come up from time to time, though. The thing is, if someone comes into some additional money, or they have another account that they were looking to move, the thing is, you can always just start a second one or a third one. Okay, as long as it's $10,000 minimum, you can start as many as you want, and they basically work the same as if they were all in one anyway.
As it grows, let's say it's 10,000 and in 6 years, it's grown to 50,000. The 10 is locked in, the 50, is that liquidable at all?
Yeah, just depending on the length of the term that you have set up. So there may be withdrawal fees if you pull out above a certain percentage that's allotted to you.
So it's still, the 10 isn't just the locked in, so all of it, as it grows and everything, is actually locked in for 10.
The withdrawal fees do diminish as the years go on. I'll show in the illustration because they make it a little less prohibitive for you to take out more money later on. The whole thing is, as we were going through some of the questions, we want to make sure that the client has other sources of income. They have other assets that they can live off of. They're not entirely dependent on whatever it is that we're rolling over. Because the thing is, if they need to live off of this money, they need to start taking out of it directly, right away. Then the thing is, it's not really money that they can really let to accumulate, and it really doesn't benefit them, and it doesn't benefit the company, right? So the thing is, the reason why the participation cap rates are higher in the longer terms versus the shorter ones is just because the company can reasonably expect how long they can keep this money and how long they can go and do things with it, right? So like if there's too much volatility and the client could pull out everything up front, it's not even worth it to do it. Okay, so that's generally how that works. Okay. Now the third thing an annuity is good for is it can create a lifetime income. So it gives you the option to be able to create a lifetime income should you choose to do it. I mean, if you want to accumulate and just go and cash the whole thing out, at a certain point you can do that also. You can also leave it as a legacy and leave it as a death benefit to your beneficiaries. So, it provides you with a few different options, but this is the main difference in that it eliminates that volatility that your money would typically be exposed in when you leave it in the market. Okay, so that's the Performance Elite. That's the product for accumulation. This is one of my favorite products, and this is the one I show a lot. based off of the clients. And, also once you start understanding the nuances and the distributions and everything that the annuity can offer for a client, a lot of times they think they're gonna need it sooner than 7 years or 10 years or 15 years. So a lot of times they just think like, oh, I'll need my money, because it's kind of a scary thing for a lot of retirees that don't have, everything set up. They're just thinking like, well, I don't want to be stuck and have my money tied up and not be able to access it should I need it. But there's different things that you can do as far as distribution, so they can start taking out sooner. And then when you show them, look, if you have other assets that you can live off of, you can kind of tighten up the belt a little bit on certain things and reduce your expenses. And then you're able to let this money sit in. Come on, join us. If you're able to let it sit there for a little bit longer, they see the type of returns that it can get if you're patient with it. Then a lot of times they'll just think, I might as well just leave it in there. So, we'll look at some of those numbers.
Would that be something like a college fund for someone, or?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how you want to set it up. Potentially, it could be used for that.
A 5-year-old, and then college would be 18, 19.
Yeah.
So that would be 10 years plus.
Right.
Would that be good? Or?
Yeah, I mean, if the person has a lump sum of money to begin with, right? So, I mean,
they pull from their 401k like 10,000 to start that for
right.
a college student, or like for a child.
Well, it depends. I mean, it depends on the age of the client. If they're under 59 and a half, they can't cash it out without penalties, right? When it comes to their 401k. So, I mean, yeah, there's potential situations where you can start, accumulating and building up for other things, such as, however they want to spend their money, that's up to them. But if they have a lump sum of money, yeah, you can potentially do that. But then as far as the distributions at the back end, you got to be clear about how they're planning on taking this out. Okay. But yeah, if you have money, I mean, uber wealthy people set up annuities for their children so they have a lifetime income for the future, right? So they set aside, a million, a couple million, or whatever they want to put aside, and it starts building for the future. So their ungrateful kids will have some lifetime income. Yeah, you had a question over here? Yes.
Question. Just to clarify, so there's a lump sum that needs to be deposited, and then is there like a monthly
No.
plan? So it's just one lump sum and then that's it?
Correct. And this is all, and that's one of the distinctions that I want to make. There's a difference between an annuity and an IUL. A lot of times with an IUL, there's a lot of great benefits to it. The thing is, it's non-reportable tax-free income that some you can accumulate over time. There's a death benefit that comes with it. But the thing is, that's something that you're to avoid becoming a mech. You can only pay so much into it. It's an insurance product at the end of the day, so it still needs to have coverage, and you need to pay a premium for it. But the thing is, you can't take like $100,000 that you have laying around like all of us have, right? So if you have $10,000, $100,000, you can't put all of it into an IUL without the cost of insurance part of it, okay? Or else it becomes a mech, right? So that's one of the differences. So a lot of times I will get that question pretty frequently. They'll say like, hey, my client wants an annuity, and I'm like, how much do they have? How much do they want to put aside for this? They're like, I don't know, a couple $100 a month. Okay, so that's not really fit for an annuity situation. An annuity situation, obviously, what we've established is a $10,000 minimum to get it started. Okay.
So the concept of infinite banking and all that stuff is not these types.
It's not through an annuity. It would be through either an IUL or some situations like with Lafayette, you can do it with a whole life policy. So you can front load it with a lump sum of money, but then you'll also have to keep the insurance portion of it going. Okay. When it comes to an annuity, that's a single lump sum. Okay, so whether it's money that they have saved up, or whether it's existing in a 401k or an IRA or some other product, and you do the rollover. So I mean, that's also one of the great things if you're going through your final expense and mortgage protection, whether you can and can't get them in life insurance. And the thing is, you might run into a situation where they have an existing product, lump sum of money, and you can do the rollover. And the thing is, they can't talk about affordability because that's money that they already have sitting in something else. So it's not an ongoing premium that they have to worry about paying going forward. So you move it that one time, you get paid your commission. They get locked into being able to protect their money, creating that lifetime income, eliminating downside risk, and participating in all those gains. Okay, so it's a situation which if you present it the right way, it'll make a lot of sense in most situations that where it's eligible. Okay.
Roberta had a question.
Oh, sorry.
Let's say that someone has the 401k, right? Like
Yep.
they are 60 years, and they want to roll over to annuity. Do they have to pay tax on the 401k or
No.
no?
So it'll maintain, so it'll roll it over as if it's an IRA. So it'll maintain the same tax deferred status. So if you have a 401k and IRA, those are all tax deferred products, right? Which means you have not been taxed on it. So the thing is, if you roll it over, it'll maintain that same status, and then you don't get taxed on anything until you start receiving distributions on it. Okay, so if you start cashing out, you start taking out periodic distributions, if you turn on the lifetime income, whatever you receive, you get taxed on that as ordinary income.
Even with the annuity, when they get
Yeah.
like they have to pay tax after.
Yeah, not at the time of the rollover, at the time when you start taking distributions on it. Yeah.
I thought it was tax free.
No, I mean, that would be nice, but yeah. But that's the difference with an IUL, when you start building up accumulating that cash value on the back end, when you start taking out that cash value, that's tax-free.
What about non-qualified?
Non-qualified funds, you get taxed on the gains. So non-qualified funds, as John's referring to, is if someone has money in the savings account or checking or savings, or they have cash, and they just want to just do it as very post-tax. So you get taxed on the gains of it.
Like let's say I'm gonna buy one on myself.
Yep.
I'm gonna leave it there for like 20 years.
Okay.
When I want to take them off,
Yep.
I have to pay tax on it.
Yes. Well, it depends. I mean, is it just money that you have saved up, or is it in a?
No, that's money that I got saved up.
Okay. Yeah. So you get taxed on the gains. Yeah.
From when you fully take it out, or from the portion you take out? So let's say, for example, you have 100,000.
Yeah.
Right? It's gaining 5%. You have 105,000 in 1
Yeah.
year. Do you get taxed on your first initial withdrawal, or after you?
I think it's proportionally. So that's going to be taxable income. That's with the IRS. So. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions on that? All right. So where do we leave off? All right. So.
I think you were going to create a lifetime income.
Yep. I think I was going over the products. So next one's the agility.
Oh, yeah, performance lead now.
Agility. So that one has a 7 and a 10, I believe. So with the agility, this is the first performance leads built for an accumulation. This one's kind of a hybrid. So some of the cool features of this is you get a 35% benefit-based bonus.
Nice.
Oops.
This one sounds good for a 401k rollover.
Okay. So it sounds very attractive because it's a 35%. So if you roll over 100,000,
You have 35,000.
they give you start off with 135,000. Okay. So they give you a 35% bonus. You also have a 1.75% multiplier. So depending on how you set up your crediting strategy, if it's a 1-year point-to-point or 2-year point-to-point, when that 1 year is up, when you're about to have interest credited to your account, you actually get 1.75% applied to your total. So meaning in practical dollar sense, if you're about to have $100 credited to your account because of this multiplier, they'll give you $175. Okay. So the 35% benefit-based bonus, and there's also a bonus for the performance elite. That's a premium bonus, and that depends on the amount that you roll over. So it's somewhere anywhere from between 3 and 8%. Okay, but as far as the agility, 35% versus 3 to 8%, this sounds a lot more attractive, right?
Yeah.
Okay. However, here's the caveat.
Oh, shoot.
This is a benefit-based bonus, not a premium bonus, which means if they credit this to your account, it only affects your benefit base. So you decide you want to cash it out or take out periodic distributions, and you're not actually turning on the lifetime income, this will not apply.
So that just goes towards the death benefit.
It just goes towards the death benefit or goes towards your, if you annuitize it and turn on the lifetime income, then all of that will apply. So it accumulates at that rate. We'll go into some illustrations and actually see the practical difference in that. But that's the thing, the 3 to 8% with the Performance Elite, that is actually a premium bonus. So the thing is, no matter what you do, that money sticks. That's yours, no matter how you decide to take that money. So and we'll also see in the long run, depending on if accumulation is the main priority for the client. The thing is, the Performance Elite over the course of time, even with a smaller bonus, will actually accumulate more money So that's based off of the cap and participation rates. So there's a couple of things, but I mean, the agility, if you're looking to show your clients pretty big numbers and they're looking to use it for a lifetime income stream to build for that for the future, then this is definitely something they can do. Also, if they're planning on leaving this for a legacy, this is also a great thing, and I'll show you why that is. Okay. So that's the next product, and then we got the Ascent Pro bonus. So there's other products available out there with the theme. These are just the three main ones that we typically run across the most. So I'm just going to go over these. As far as the Ascent, this is built for liquidity. Okay. So this is for somebody that has a lump sum of money in a 401k, or they have just a lump sum period. Liquidity is their biggest priority, which means they're very uncertain about what's going to happen in their near retirement phase. They may say, I don't really know I can leave it in there for 7 years. I don't know if I can leave it in there for 10 years. I might need to access that money sooner and turn on the lifetime income. So if that's the case, the Ascent Pro bonus is a good product for that, because you can turn on the lifetime income stream at any point. Okay, so it provides the maximum amount of liquidity for that product. Okay. And I guess that situation is going to be pretty simple and straightforward. If a client says, like, yeah, I'm looking to eliminate some of the downside risk because I've lost money in the past few years in my 401k or my IRA, then you can roll into this, and they're saying they need to access the money soon. Okay, so that's a potential option. There's a 1% rider charge. So the thing is, when you roll into an annuity, when you roll a product into an annuity, there's no fees. Okay, so the thing is that's one thing that you're able to provide for the client. You'll be able to help them eliminate fees, but the thing is that 1% rider charge, it's not technically a fee. This is the rider charge for the liquidity, so then you're able to access it at any point. Okay, so that's built in. So obviously this is not built for maximum accumulation. So if accumulation is their priority, this is not going to be the product for them. Okay, but there's always a trade-off. People want to have the highest accumulation and they want to be able to access their money right away. But then, you got to just be able to let the client know there's a trade-off between whatever the product is, and you're gonna have to choose one or the other, and you have to prioritize. Yep. So Mark.
Would this be like a better product if someone like in their 70s they're forced to take money out of their 401k, and they're just not really looking to accumulate this lifespan?
Right.
I don't know.
Sure. So what Mark's question here, he's like, when someone turns 70, it's actually 72 and a half now, but there's a thing called required minimum distribution. So if you have a 401k or an IRA and it's all tax deferred, the reason why you would set it up in one of those type of products is because you don't get tax on it up front, right? So you can let it kind of accumulate tax free or deferred tax, for the entire time. At the age of 72 and a half, you're going to start receiving a statement, for RMDs, required minimum distributions, because the IRS needs to get their money. So they got to make sure you take out a certain percentage of your money at that age, because they can't let you continue to sit on it and not pay taxes on it, right? So when it hits that point, the thing is, even if you roll it into an annuity, the proportional amount is still going to have RMDs. You're still going to have to take out that required amount. And as I mentioned earlier, you only get taxed on the distribution amount. So you're not for the full amount, just whatever you happen to receive. And that's going to be taxed at ordinary income, and still beneficial for the client, because if they're deferring it till they're 72 and a half, hopefully they're not working anymore at that point. But with the economy, there's a lot of people that are still working well into their 70s, some into their 80s. But the thing is, theoretically, your tax footprint should be lower by that point. You're not at your peak working years. Right. So the thing is, you'll have less income, and if you're retired, then you're at a much lower tax bracket. So what it adds that's a less of a tax burden for the client to have to take out less at that point. Okay, so that's how the Ascent product works. All right, so we're going to go into a couple of illustrations. So let me.
to take out, let's say 100,000 of the equity in your home and put that 100,000 in, could you then build on that amount? Or is there still like a mech out type of thing, or does that not make sense?
If you pull out your equity, I mean,
Like as an independent contractor, for me, I'm considering like pulling equity out of my home that I've had for years to try and build an extra stream of income for later. So I thought about taking 100,000 and putting it into a product, but also being able to overfund that product to add to it.
through an annuity or through an IUL?
I don't know.
It will depend on what your interest rates are. So I mean, you got to make sure you're getting more money back than what you owe. Yeah. So I actually just ran an illustration. This is someone my age, which is 25. No, I'm 43. So this is for a 43-year-old.
Okay.
And then I just took a simple, easy number at $100,000 of a principal rollover amount. Okay, so just at $100,000. This first one here, this is a performance elite. Okay, so this is the one built for accumulation. So if someone's main priority is to accumulate, we're gonna put them into performance elite. So you guys would grab the information, either upload it onto the AMS site, or you can bring it to me and we'll put together an illustration. So walk you through the entire process. So the way it's set up here, this is set up at a 1 year, 50% 1 year point to point.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right, so it's a 50% 1 year point to point and a 50% 2 year point to point. So obviously, for those of you guys who are not great at math, it has to be 100% total. So you can break it up into whatever, but we set this up at 50-50. Okay. Now the one I set up here actually has a strategy charge option. So the strategy charge option, what it does, it takes some of the amount that you gain and it adds a little bit more back in, so it gives you a higher participation and cap rate. So you don't have to do it, and it still work the same way. The only thing is the potential interest rate will be a little bit lower. Okay. So this is based off $100,000. Okay. Actually, let me see if it shows the bonus. There's a 9% premium bonus on this based off $100,000 based off that age. Okay, so you get additional 9,000 premium bonus added in. Okay, we'll skip all this. We'll just go over the basic numbers. Okay. Now we're starting with $100,000 of principal rollover amount. Now this is something that we're required to show. This is the worst case scenario. Let's say the market tanks the entire time or doesn't do anything positive whatsoever, right? The thing is, if you kept it in a variable product, you'd be riding that roller coaster, right? Okay. And then I like to tell the clients, I'm like, when you're younger, you want to be as aggressive as possible. You can afford to ride out the highs and lows, and over the course of time, if you look at the numbers, every 7 years, there will be ups and downs, but over the course of time, you theoretically should be gaining, okay? Because the market will, rebound that way. But the thing is, I asked the client, I'm like, but now that you're starting to enter your retirement phase, you have to ask yourself, if the market does go down, how much money can you really afford to lose? Do you have time to make that back up? So for a lot of them, they're like, yeah, I can't really afford to lose anything at this point. I need to start focusing on what I'm gonna do for my future. So we say we roll this into an annuity, then this way you're guaranteed to never lose any money. When the market goes up, you participate in it. You don't get the full gains because the company keeps part of it, so they're offsetting that risk for you. And then also is able to create that lifetime income should you choose to take it. Okay, so I'll explain what that means. So this is at 0%. So even if the market goes down, it could be crashing the entire time, right? But the thing is, zero's the floor, meaning you're not going to fall anything below what you currently have. Now this looks a little bit, so the cumulative value, this is what we're going to look at. It appears to be a little, like it's going down a little bit because we give, first of all, you add in that $9,000 bonus, the 9% bonus. So it starts off at $109,000, but if nothing positive is happening, there's that 1.75% strategy charge option. So it's an added feature that we added in, so it's not an actual fee, but it appears like it's going down a little bit for a while. Okay, but the thing is, the cash surrender value, even if you were to roll over $100,000, and then at any point you decide, I just want to bail, I want to get out of this thing, you're not really going to lose that much. Okay, So this is, once again, this is worst case scenario. So, if you're looking at this, doesn't look that attractive, but the thing is, if you kept in a variable product and it actually went down, you'd be suffering losses greater than this. Okay. Now, let's look at the average returns. Okay. So this is it's what they call a 10-year look back. So they look at the last 20 years and they take a 10-year average. So they're not taking the highest year or the lowest year. They balance it out. They take in the average. So a 10-year average return on this product, at this crediting strategy, is 14.67%. Okay, so just illustrating at the average return of 14.67, okay, the accumulated value starts off with that $100,000 rollover. You get the 9% bonus added in, and then start building at the 14.67. Now, some years it's going to outperform, some years it's going to underperform, but just looking at the 10-year average, this is what the reasonable expectation should be, right? So at a 14.67 average return, we look at the accumulated value over the year. So this is at 43, and then 10 years from this point, at 53 years old, you have 390,000 built up, starting with your 100,000 of the initial rollover amount. Okay.
It's actually higher than what I thought it would be, that 14.67,
What do you think it was going to be?
like 12 and a half.
Okay. So if we didn't do the strategy charge option, if we just did the basic way, then it would have been 10% or so. And then there's also different index crediting strategies that we can choose. So we selected the S&P 500. I think it's a little bit lower. We chose the BMP. We chose.
This is NASDAQ.
This is the NASDAQ.
Okay.
Yeah. I just keep it simple. I just go with the
I
NASDAQ.
didn't even know you could choose.
Yeah.
Until yesterday, I just found that out that you can actually choose the index.
Right.
I never knew that.
Yeah. So eventually you guys will get to the point if you guys are doing annuities on a regular basis where you know how to create an illustration. But until you guys get to that point, you guys have support and you guys have people that can help you with that. Namely myself. There's also the AMS department. So if you guys, just reach out to one of us, we'll put that together for you, and if we need to ascertain and get additional information, we'll do that. But looking at this number, just at a 14, and this is a performance league 10, right? So the term's up at 10 years. So I could turn on the lifetime income stream at that point after 10 years. Now, 10 years from now, I'll be 53, and if I don't need to take out this money yet, I want to let it continue to accumulate, participate in the upside, continue to avoid any downside market risk. I can leave it in there, and then let it continue to accumulate. So 65 years old, which is the average retirement age, which is what they claim, which is no longer really the case with inflation and everything else. But at the age of 65, I'll have over 1.4 million.
And then she started with 100,000 at 43.
Correct. Right. So it's the power of time and compounding interest, right?
And the tax on this it's tax deferred.
It's tax deferred. So then here's how the distributions work. So after 10 years, if I choose to, any point after 10 years, I can annuitize it and turn on the lifetime income stream, right? So at that point, based off of the amount, let's say I want to do it at the age of 60. I'll have 1 million in there. So then at that point, I'll say I'll let the company know I want to turn on the lifetime income stream at this point of that age, and then they'll set the amount and they'll start paying for as long as I live. So they'll continue to pay out, and I can't outlive it. So if I happen to live to be 90, they'll have to keep paying me that. If I happen to live to be 120, they'll have to continue to pay me that. If I steal that technology from Wolverine and live forever, they got to keep paying me, right?
As an agent,
Yeah.
this is our business, obviously. So if we're doing this for a client,
Yeah.
do we just get paid up front, like an upfront fee, or do we get paid like a renewal and based on however their monies are going?
Right. So if you select commission option 1 when you're doing the application, it will pay you the lump sum up front. So just so you guys know, when all your specific comp is going to be shown on the FFL AMS site, the site I told you guys to register for earlier. It's based off of your lifetime annuity production. So everyone starts at I think 5%, and then some products pay a little bit more. Some products pay a little bit less. Like maybe a few partial points off of that, but. You get paid, if you select commission option 1, you get paid that up front. So if I'm rolling over an annuity for $100,000, if I'm at the starting agent level, then I'll get about a $5,000 check.
For 100.
It's based off of the rollover amount. So if I did $1 million, I would get paid $50,000.
And we could do those on ourselves?
Yes.
But you could choose not to get paid up front and
Yeah, you can choose with trailing commissions and have it pay out later, but I would choose commission option 1. and I do.
How does that work for trailing commissions? Like,
I mean, they don't give you the full amount up front and then they just pay you.
and
They break it.
does
Yeah.
change.
Yeah, so you'll still get the same amount, but over time.
Yeah, I was gonna ask the same, like, does the amount change, like if I choose to defer payment?
Yeah, I think it's the same amount. So I'd rather hold on to my money. So that's how that would work. So that's one option. That's if you choose the lifetime income stream. The other option is you can cash it out. So that's the cash surrender value. Okay. So I mean, as far as the cash surrender value goes, the thing is, if you look at it, this is a 10-year plan. Now, if someone needs to take it out, they say like, I don't want to be stuck with it. I can't roll into an annuity. What if I need it 8 years from now? What if I need in a shorter period of time, less than the 10 years? If you look at the cash surrender value, we started off with a $100,000 rollover. After the first year, because of the interest rate, that's the participation rate. The thing is, you're going to receive back more money than you actually put into it anyway. Okay, so I mean, I don't think we should necessarily present it to the client that way, because your goal is to get them in a product that's right for them, which is if they're here to accumulate for the long term, let us sit there and continue to accumulate for the long term. But this mitigates some of their fears and risk of having to need their money, and they feel like they're not going to be able to access it, or they're going to have to take a huge loss if they need to take it out sooner. Right. So that's the cash surrender value. So that's if you decide you want to take it out in a lump sum. Obviously, there's a death benefit. This is if you die, that's how much your beneficiary would receive. The accumulated value, this is the cash surrender value, that provides you with an additional option too. So the thing is, you could turn on the lifetime income stream. They set the amount based off of whatever year you decide to do it at the accumulated value, and then they'll set that amount and pay you for as long as you live. Okay, so the insurance company is actually taking the risk that you may outlive, and you may outlive their life expectancy, and they pay out more money than you actually even put in, right?
Is that on the illustration what their monthly income, if they do turn it on, like, is it shown?
You can in the illustration software, you can change it so like at a certain number of years, you can show how much income they'd be receiving. But I mean, sometimes, a client's going to give you too many different scenarios. They're like, what about at this age? What about at this age? What about at this age? So I mean, if you just show them the accumulated value, this is how much you can look at, and they have a formula to put into, and it'll spit out a number. Okay. So that's one option with the lifetime income. You can take out the cash value. You can do the surrender and take out the full amount. You can just leave it and not touch it if you're good. Otherwise, then you can leave it as a death benefit, as a legacy for your family. What you could also do under the accumulated value, you can take out periodic distributions as needed. And this makes sense for a lot of people because they may have Social Security, they might have other sources of income, they may have other assets that they can live off of, so they don't necessarily need to cash out, because if you put it in a bank account, you're not getting anywhere close to that, right?
Not anywhere close.
Yeah.
Zero,
Less than 1%.
Right. So right. So not anywhere near the same potential upside for this, right? So you can just let it continue to sit in there, and you just periodically take it out should you need it. So when I'm explaining to clients, what generally happens for a lot of seniors, they're retired, they want to go take a trip. You could pull out 10,000, let the rest continue to sit in there and accumulate. If you need a home remodel because you've kind of let things get a little run down, and you need to make sure that your house is inhabitable and you're going to comfortably enjoy your place, you can pull out 30,000 and let the rest.
Can you do that like after let's say the 10 years that you have it? Like, let's say you have it for like until 63.
Yeah.
At 64, can you get like 100?
Yeah, it's your money. Yeah. It's just the only thing is if you start taking out periodic distributions, it'll diminish your total amount, so you'll have less. But you won't accumulate at the same rate. But if you need the money, you need the money.
And you pay tax on those 80?
You get taxed on the amount that you take out. So, right. But there's also the required minimum distributions. So if you decide not to take anything out, IRS is still going to get you. At 72 and a half, they're going to tell you, hey, you need to take out this amount of money, which you don't have to do anything. Athene's automatically going to reach out to the client and let them know how would you like to receive your money, whether it's monthly, quarterly. Which one?
Scroll it a little bit.
Which part?
72 and a half.
872?
So it's not up there.
It's
That's 3
70,
million.
72 and a half is here.
Yeah.
So if I make it to 93, I'm good. I mean, I don't know how much you can do with it at that age, but. Yeah. Right. So this is an average return of 14.67. You guys, if you guys want to copy this, I can just let me know. I can send it to you guys later. But this is just sample illustration for the Performance Elite.
I wonder if so many old people living on yachts.
Well, if they plan ahead and set this up, and this is the FIA is a relatively newer product. I think it came out sometime in the 80s, late 80s. So there was universal life policies. That was a straight universal life policies, but then those policies, a lot of them implode, because they weren't properly funded. The cost of insurance kept going up, and the return's not what it was anticipated. So there's that. So that's a Performance Elite. Okay. We'll get into the Agility. So this is the Agility 10. This is the one we talked about earlier. So with the Agility 10, what you guys remember? What was the main feature of the Agility 10? Why people think it's attractive? What?
35%.
35% benefit-based bonus, not a premium bonus. So similarly, set it up pretty similar. $100,000 initial rollover amount, $35,000 bonus. That's benefit-based bonus added to it. So you start at 135 for your benefit base, 175% multiplier. Okay. So again, to show you the worst case scenario at 0%. Now this one doesn't have the strategy charge option. So, just to kind of contrast it, if we look at the accumulated value, you start off with the 135 and the benefit base. That's $35,000 bonus added in, 100,000 for the accumulated value. And this is at the worst case scenario. There's no growth, or it could actually be, the market could be down. Okay. So in that case, the thing is, if you look at the benefit base and the accumulated value, it actually doesn't decrease, right? It doesn't go down, right? So you're not, even if the market tanked, you're not losing any money. If you kept it in your 401k or IRA, you potentially could be losing a lot of money, right? So you're protecting the client first step there.
And that's if the market tanks every year?
Worst case scenario. That's that. All right. Now this is the 20-year look back. This is a 10-year average. So the average return was 9.2%. Okay. So earlier when we looked at the Performance Elite, which is built for accumulation, that was at 14.67% return. This is at 9.2. Okay. So at 9.2, if we look at the benefit base, and once again, this is only if you take the lifetime income option, or if you decide you want to leave it as a death benefit. If you take out periodic distributions, or you do the cash surrender value, it doesn't count. That 35% bonus you don't get to receive it, right? So this is if someone that's certain, they're like, hey, I know exactly what I want for my future retirement, which is why we ask what the retirement goals are. They're like, I have this lump sum of money, or I have this product, and I want to be able to receive lifetime income for it. I need a supplemental income on top of whatever I have. So that's if you're certain about what you're going to do with it. Okay. So if they know certainly that's what they're going to do, or they say, I don't want to touch it, I just want to leave it as a death benefit. Here's the thing about the death benefit. With the death benefit, this is not including the bonus in here, obviously. Okay. But the thing is, with the death benefit, the family can choose if the annuitant passes away, the beneficiaries can choose. They can take out the death benefit in a lump sum, and that's given to them. They can go do whatever they need with it. Or if they prefer, they can actually take the higher amount, the benefit-based total, as the beneficiary if the annuitant dies. And the thing is, they can take out the benefit-based and receive that instead of the death benefit if they're willing to take it out over 5 years.
Wow.
Okay.
And they get a monthly stream of income with that?
Yeah.
Or they have to wait the 5 years?
However they want to receive their pay, whether they want to take it, receive it monthly, quarterly, take an annual lump sum, it's up to them. So that gives them the option to do one of those two things. So this is a specific product that's kind of like a hybrid, but it's not. Sure, there's accumulation, but only for a specific desired outcome. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. And just to kind of show you the accumulation. Now, the thing is that 35% bonus sounds greater than a 9% bonus if we're doing basic math, right?
Yes.
But the thing is, if you're looking for long-term accumulation and the client doesn't really want to touch it for a while, they want to be able to grow their money, which is what you're trying to do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So at the age of 65 earlier, when we looked at the Performance Elite, I think it was like at 1.4 million, right?
Yes.
Okay. Here it's at 1.2, right? So that higher interest rate over time, it makes up for that difference and it exceeds it, right? So that you have to ask these specific questions so we can try to fit the client into the right product. And if accumulation's their thing, we can go with Performance Elite. If they want a little bit of, make sure that they have income's their biggest priority and they plan to take it out within a certain period of time before the longer stretch, then agility might work better for them.
So what if we had clients like in the age from like my age, at 55, you're not really ready to retire, but you want to accumulate?
Yep.
How would a person, what would you do for a client my age as far as accumulating? And then pretty much all I have is a house that I've had for years. And I don't necessarily want to leave it to my kids wholeheartedly.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm selfish.
That's gangster.
My kids get on my nerves sometimes.
No, that's all right.
No, but I do enough for my kids
No.
alive.
No.
So I want to be able to fully live once I get to that age. In 10 years, I want to think of myself finally.
So you're building the annuity for yourself, for your lifetime income.
Yes.
I mean, if lifetime income and you have a lump sum money, I mean, the agility potentially could work for you because you're going to be using it for the stream of income,
Yes.
right? And it depends on the length of time. I mean, if it's 10 years,
10 to
you
15.
can compare the two. If you look at the Performance Elite versus the agility, you run side by side after 10 years, what has more money?
Because at 65, I want to change. So that's 10 years. So a 10-year window would be agility.
Yeah, I mean, on the front end, it will have a little bit more.
35%.
Yeah. If you plan to let it sit for a little bit longer, then the Performance Elite will have a higher return.
Sure.
Yep. Yep. A lot of life decisions to be made, huh? All right. So that's the agility versus the Performance Elite. And then just real quick, I'm going to show you the Ascent. So with the Ascent, it's a pretty simple product. Now, the thing is, you can't get the Ascent product, which is built for liquidity, which means the client knows that they're going to have to turn on the lifetime income at some point really soon, or they anticipate they will. The thing is, you actually can't, you can't start receiving the lifetime income until you're age 50. So my situation, I actually couldn't even really illustrate that. So in this situation, I just put myself as 50 years old, or actually at 65 years old, sorry. So I did at 65 years old. So this is really simple. The agility is just kind of to build you a supplemental income on top of Social Security or any other pensions or whatever income that you might have. So whatever the rollover amount is, at any point that you decide to take it out, that's going to be your lifetime income. So it's kind of like Social Security. The longer that you can defer and not start taking out the money, then you'll get a higher amount whenever you do decide to turn it on. So, not before 50. Yeah.
And that, wait a minute, so you said that's your lifetime income, so 17,000 is what they're gonna give you for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
Every,
If you take it out here, you mean?
yeah.
It depends on whatever. So this is illustrated for a 65-year-old. So for a 65-year-old, whenever you decide that you want to start taking it out, whatever year it is, they'll set that amount and start paying out for as long as you live. Okay.
That's great.
Simple and straightforward.
I'm sorry, tell me that again. I'm sorry.
Yep.
So you said if somebody is 65, by the time they get what, 78, right? They're gonna give them 17,000.
Well, that's only if you defer and not turn on the lifetime income stream until you're 78.
Monthly, though, that's a lot of money.
Oh, that's mine.
Annually, right?
No, this is annual.
That's annual.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's not much.
Which, I mean, so the thing is, if you're 65, I mean, they're anticipating you're going to be living 20 years or so, right? Based off of mortality tables. They have their formula. They'll plug it in. So that's how they determine your lifetime income. So, the longer you can wait, the longer you can hold off, the higher amount that you can receive. But then again, yeah. 100,000. I did the 100,000 across the
65,
board.
right?
Yeah, 65-year-old. I tried to illustrate it to a 43-year-old and it wouldn't let me anyway.
And then, okay, so, and then for this one, they getting $17,000 a year, and then the rest of the money's gonna go towards the death benefit when they pass.
Yeah. So, I mean, you'll start receiving it, and then if there's money left over, your beneficiary will receive that.
So you kind of look at it like you've been working, so therefore you paid into Social Security. So most people in 70s, I have a lady that lives in one of my properties, and she gets 2,400. She didn't really work that hard, but she gets 2,400 a month. So if you look at that account plus something like this that adds to it, then that will allow you a little bit more flexibility. So you want to talk to your clients about creating multiple streams of revenue coming in by the time you're that age. So it don't look like a lot for if that's all you have, but we never want to put our clients into this is all you have scenarios. You always want to teach them about other avenues of, having income come in.
Right. Plus, I mean, clients just got to be realistic.
Yeah.
If they have 20,000 to roll over into annuity, they're not going to be able to live off of that.
No.
But it is just a supplemental income in addition to whatever else they're receiving.
Absolutely.
Can't change the numbers. Can't change the numbers for the clients. You can't turn $20,000 into a $6,000 a month retirement for the rest of your life. So
First life, and then they can get their renewals and stuff.
yeah, there's that.
And at the same
That's
time,
another income.
if it's a person that
Yep.
do have things like that, you can create something like this, and then you can put them in an IUL as well, where they're contributing monthly. And then that's a whole nother stream of income and another death benefit. So if they do have money to invest, you can do multiple things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So to wrap up, we're going to once you guys get the information over to either the AMS department or myself, we'll run the illustration for you. You guys set the appointment. Let us know when that appointment is if you want some help with that. Then we can get on a call together with the client. I've done plenty of them over the phone. I've gone on a couple of Zoom calls, but don't need to physically be in person for this to happen. So if you're in a different state, that's fine also. But we'll run the illustration. You set the appointment. Do your BAM fam. Book a meeting from a meeting. Let me know when that is. We'll make sure that our schedules can coordinate, and then we'll get on, do the presentation. You'll pop open, or we'll share the screen with the client. We'll go over it with the client together, present it to them, close it. I'll kick it over to you to do the application. You can do it on the FFL AMS site. So you can do it directly through the Athene site, but I personally recommend do it through the FFLAMS.com site under the app review, because especially if it's your first one, or you aren't very familiar with it even after a few, or you're just mistake prone and you don't want to take that risk. The thing is, you can actually just complete everything through there, because before it actually submits to the carrier, the AMS department, I think Lauren specifically, will get a chance to scrub the application, review it for any mistakes, for anything you may have potentially missed, anything that may not clear suitability. And then they'll check it first. If everything's good to go, they will send it out. If there's any corrections that need to be made, they'll send it back to you and let you know. And then you can make the corrections, and then they'll send it out from there. Okay. So that's the next step. You complete the application. You can do it through there. And then once you're familiar enough with the process, you at that point conceivably should be able to present it by yourself. But if you still need help, we're still available. You can also go directly through the Athene site and complete the application once you're a little bit more familiar at that point. The thing is, we're trying to avoid someone sending in an application and is missing a bunch of stuff, or it doesn't clear suitability, and it keeps getting sent back and forth, because after enough times they may terminate you potentially, the carrier, because it's too much. Or the thing is, it creates a much bigger delay because of the fact that it's going back and forth, and then the client's timeline's kind of altered from. So keep it simple. Take the resources that are available to you, and go ahead and use that. And once the application gets submitted, so once that's done, there's a two part of it. The first part, there's no underwriting requirements for annuities, so it doesn't matter about health, doesn't matter about any.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah. So with an IUL, if a client wants to get an IUL, they do have to go through underwriting. With an annuity, there's no health requirements.
The money in, that's why.
Because it's a different type of product. So your money's up front. So you're putting your money into that company rather than you're paying a premium and then they're going to pay out a death benefit, right? So you roll your money over. There's a No underwriting requirements, but there is a suitability. Suitability just kind of means they look at your financial health. They want to make sure that you have other assets to live off of. It doesn't tie up all of your money that you can't live off of. So they want to make sure that they put the client into a better position and something that's viable for them. If it doesn't clear suitability, they won't even approve the application, right? So if it doesn't clear suitability, they'll kick it back, and then that's a huge reason why you want to go through the AMS site, because that's one thing they will be looking for to make sure that it is a suitable policy and it actually has a chance of going through. Okay. So if they tell you up front this person's income is too low, or they have too big a percentage of their household net income or net worth in this product, they're just going to kick it back, and they're not there and tell you can't submit it.
DTI and all that stuff?
DTI.
Debt to income ratios and stuff?
There's a section for there that just goes over total net worth, your total assets, your liabilities, income, anticipated.
Credit and stuff like that.
No. Okay. And then so once that suitability is done, you let the client know. So I mean, that's if you're working with me, we'll help you present, and then at the end I'll ask the client if they have any questions. We'll close them, and then I'll say, Marianne's going to take over the application for you, and she'll take care of everything for you from here. She'll submit the application. We're not going to take any money up front because all we're going to do is submit the application to Athene, that A-rated carrier we discussed, and they're going to see if everything clears suitability. If it does, and you got to be patient with us because it takes anywhere from a couple days to a couple weeks depending on how backed up they are. But if everything goes through and once you're approved, they'll let us know, and at that point we'll reach out to you and say, good news, everything's been approved. You still want to go forward with it, you give us a thumbs up, and we'll have them transfer the money over. Okay. So we'll keep it as simple as possible for you guys. Just wanted to kind of give you guys the crash course and the basics of how it generally works. Don't beat yourself up if you don't understand every single concept about this, because there's always a lot to learn. But the thing is, you guys know the basics. Make sure you get contracted. Make sure you get your training out the way. Make sure you're registered for the AMS site. Prepare yourself with, asking those questions when you're in the home. Ask at the right times. Ask it the right way. Then you ask for help. Get the illustrations set up for you. If you need help with it, we'll set up an appointment with the client, and then go back there and just let this make sense to them. Yeah.
So that means, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just one, you said there was the minimum, like you have to do transactions. So is there like a number, like do you have to do like 4, 3, is there like how many do you have to do to?
As an agent,
Oh, to get the comp increase?
to keep your contract with the.
I mean, these guys submit business for the year. I mean,
Like at least one?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the thing is, we have to understand carriers pay money to appoint agents. So it costs, if you're not writing any business, you're not submitting any business, you're costing them money, right? So at the end of the day, it still is a business. So, but that's the thing. We just go out there and work. We see clients. You'll find your opportunities, and everybody wins. Okay. All right. So hopefully this was helpful. For all of you guys who are here attending, and for all of you guys that are watching. So if you guys have any questions, we're available. Reach out to us. But appreciate you guys spending a little bit of time with us. For those of you that are physically here, we got some food, for you guys. So let's enjoy the night. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That's a lot of information.
DJ, a lot of You want to
So did you say let's say I gotta put I asked them already, like they sent me like a link and everything, like to see like annuities and all, like